Are we set? No, we have a thing? Okay.
Margaret.
You had a- You got a lot to do.
Marcia, did you talk to Margaret about?
Margaret, what time did you want policy?
And we need to salute to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, correspondence, Chris? Sorry, excuse me. Any correspondence? No. No, okay. Public comment, Marcia, I'm sorry.
That's okay. There's
No? Okay, so do we need to vote on modifying the agenda? Okay.
Move that we add donation acceptance as item 4.3 under new business.
Second.
Okay, discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. All right, consent agenda, does anybody have anything to extract? Nope, okay.
Move that we accept the consent agenda.
Second?
As presented.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay, thank you. All righty, PTO update, Bree, you're up. That moves quickly. This part always goes fast.
Hello, everybody. We had our first event of the year. We had the ice cream social last week. We served over 600 bowls of ice cream. The place was packed. The only thing we didn't figure is that since school started a year later, it was pitch black by the time we wrapped up. So that's something we'll keep in mind for next year if the school calendar runs late again. We had our first special assembly today for the 5th and 6th graders, which was a digital safety and online education class for 5th and 6th graders specifically, and we will be following up with that in November with an evening for parents run by the same company. And that is what we have going on. We will see you all at open houses.
Okay, thank you.
Bree.
All righty, Dr. Stella, it's your turn.
Well, thank you, Bree, for setting the stage, because the ice cream social was a real welcome back for our entire school community. It's unbelievable the number of people that there were, hundreds and hundreds. Special thanks goes to our police department. We had 2 police officers working and helping us out with the traffic and just keeping everything safe. But before that, there was planning going on too, and that's we thank our fire department for getting together with our police department and with us too to plan how we can make this an effective event where everybody will leave happy, no tickets, but safety is there. The only complaint I have about that, we put in the notes there, I had to go to the Board of Selectmen meeting that night, and I got back a little later, and all the chocolate ice cream was gone. And I went around asking the children where my chocolate ice cream was, who ate it? And at least 90% said I did. So we're off to, by a lot of indicators, we're off to a good start. We're glad to see the children safely back in school. We see big smiles when they come. They seem to be happy. The parents seem to be happier. We're pleased with our ingress, egress. The cooperation of the parent community by and large has been tremendous. We all care about our children, about their academic development, social, emotional, but also their safety. So we've gotten off to a good start in many ways. Looking at ingress, egress, looking at the cafeteria, Mrs. White, you do a tremendous job in there too, really organizing things so that children can eat in a comfortable, safe place, be able to have communications. They're there for such a short time, so there has to be some order to it. The acoustics help tremendously. The children say that. I go straight from my indicator, I go straight to the children and say, what's the difference and how do you know? And prove to me, and they come up with very good reasons for that. So we have a lot to be thankful for. A lot of work goes into preparing for a school year. We've had the 5 summer programs that took care of our children during this summer. They did very, very well. But at the same time, there were lots of projects going on. Our custodial staff was busy, our nursing staff was busy. Our teachers were in doing a whole variety of things. And I want to give a special salute and thank you to our administrative task team. They have worked tirelessly during this summer. It's amazing that they squeezed any vacation time in at all with all the state mandates, but also keeping their eye on the children and getting ready for the many types of programs that go on and helping to organize the teachers in their different curriculum writing and scheduling and everything like that. So we thank them. This is the second year of our new administrative model. Gina Prisco, Nancy White make a mighty duo. They've done a fine job. It seems seamless. It's always a work in progress, but they really blend together well. And let me take the duo and make it a trio, because Sheila Haverkamp has been a very, very important part, a mentor in the team, you might say, and really working alongside both of them and handling so many different things. So we're very appreciative for the hard work you're putting in, especially with all the new evaluation plans, core curriculum, accountability plans, all these kinds of things, and translating them in a way that makes sense for the spirit of Beecher Road School. Our teachers many of them were in weeks before school started. Our problem is keeping them out so we could wax the floors. They get in to set up their classrooms and so on. But there were 3 solid days of just faculty and staff and administration being in, preparing for the school year. 2 were PD days, and the main focus was on the evaluation plans and orienting everyone to it, getting the knowledge of what it is. Also working and having articulation horizontally and vertically as far as what are the needs of our children, not only by class but by individuals too. So we praise them for that kind of work that's going on. And Mrs. Prisco, I probably took most of the stuff, but I'm sorry, once I get started, it's hard to stop. Why don't you give us a principals update there? Feel free to cover any ground. You probably do a better job any ground that I mentioned.
So Dr. Stella, you do give a comprehensive plan, but first of all, the start of my second year of this administrative team, so cohesive. But I also have to say thank you. It's the support staff, the teachers, the parents, and the community that all always work very hard to make Beecher as great as it is, and we continue to get better. We've had some positive additions to the staff, grade 1, grade 5, special services, but most recently our new kindergarten teacher. It was a seamless transition to what is an extraordinary team. So we welcome Lisa Farnan to our kindergarten team. A compliment, and I'll reiterate, to the PTO for yet another successful ice cream social. To have that as the welcome back to school and to see so many children and so many families just enjoying themselves. It's a time-honored tradition here. I hope that it will continue for years to come, and we will make sure to get extra chocolate ice cream. Picture day was today. One minor glitch, and there was a camera that broke, and then it got back up and running. I don't know the technology behind that, but they fixed it and we were good. We have some upcoming open houses, as you heard. September 17th, kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. September 19th is just preschool. The 24th is grades 3, 4, and MAG. And the 26th for grades 5 and 6. We will gather in the cafeteria at 6:30, except for preschool. They are in the preschool room, but other than that, gather at 6:30 for a brief welcome, introduction of the teachers, and then parents are invited to go to the classrooms to meet the teachers. I will reiterate the cafeteria. The acoustic tiles have really made a difference. Mrs. White works very hard to keep that cafeteria running smoothly, but it is very noticeable, the noise level. The children are still talking and still enjoying themselves, but you can walk in and there's definitely a different feel. So we appreciate everybody's efforts. Our specialists have had an opportunity to run through at least one full cycle, so they've been able to meet all of their children. I already had see artwork in the halls, and Mr. Taddy was having a kindergartner demonstrate safe scooter riding this morning. How do you move just with your feet, and showing how his hands are held on safely. So our specials are all well underway. Readers and Writers Workshop is either in the process of being launched or has already been launched in many of our grades. Our children are working in their Readers and Writers notebooks, excited about books that they might read this year or pieces that they'll write. Also, our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teachers and students are excited about the new resource. And it is just that. It is not a curriculum. It is a resource, an anchor resource that will help us bring consistency across the classrooms, as well as provide differentiation, or assist us in providing differentiation. In math in our primary grades, there's been a lot of exploration with the manipulatives that they'll use this year, because it's very important for students to play with them first before we use them as tools. So there's been an awful lot of that. We're also committed and known for all of the committees that we have. There's probably about 15 committees that are up and running throughout the school year. People give generously of their time, and it ranges anything from safe school climate, surrounding the goal of having a positive school learning environment. And Mrs. White, Ms. Haverkamp, and myself all share those responsibilities. Another one that you will probably very happily see this year is a report card committee. That will be up and running very soon, and our aim is to have a report card for this year. And we also heard about our information session. It came highly recommended, the internet safety, digital safety, and social media. Through Amity Middle School, I spoke with Dr. Dellinger, some of the parents who had attended that parent session, and our students were very engaged. But I needed to make sure we sent Officer Lynch and Larry Hurwitz from our technology team. We sent them to view it last year before we decided that would be appropriate for our students, and it was excellent. And one more thank you for our parents for using our transportation services. A couple of minor glitches maybe along the way, students not used to the bus or things happening, but I think that we are well on our way. Our volume has decreased in the pickup line, as well as ease of traffic in the north entrance and outside. So we'll continue to monitor that as we go along. And that's it. Thank you.
Anybody have a question for Mr. Frisco?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if I mentioned this, but if I do mention it again, there's no harm in doing that. A special thank you to our board that has worked tirelessly during the summer. I don't know how you squeezed in summer vacation, but the school board has been meeting, has had a retreat during the summer to plan goals, and has done a lot to help us prepare for the direction for the new school year. Next,
Yep, CMT. So backwards.
Just let me know if you have any trouble hearing this. What? I'm trying to quote the slides. Okay. The school board, a couple of years ago, challenged the administration to come up with a type of CMT reporting that dug deeper, that demonstrated growth over time, that indicated the different performance indicators, and showed how we're moving and using and trying to use this here, how it could be used for differentiation of instruction. So that's what we've tried to do in this comprehensive report. Let's get this here. For the new members of our board and any new families that are watching for the first time on TV, what are the CMTs? Just a very quick review. All public school students in grades 3 to 8 in Connecticut take the CMT test annually. Areas tested are mathematics, reading, writing, and science in grade 5 and 8 only. This may be the last CMT presentation because it's possible that we will be moving to the SBAC, a new generation of testing this coming year. We're headed in that direction, and if there's any changes, we'll get back to you on that. But the science, the 5th grade and 8th grade science CMT will remain because the new science Common Core has not been approved yet. A few basic understandings will be helpful about the CMT to understand this presentation. There are 5 categories of performance. One is below basic, that's the student has little grasp of the subject area. Basic, the student has some knowledge. Proficient, the student has a fairly good knowledge. The state defines that more or less as grade level. Goal, student has a very good grasp of subject matter. Of course, the state, Beecher Road School would like all students on goal. And advanced, the student has exceptional understanding. The state also groups districts, there are about 168, 169 school districts in Connecticut, into groups called DERGs. The districts are divided based on socioeconomic factors, and there are a total of 9 DERGs A to I. Woodbridge is in Derg B, and you can see that there are 21 school districts in that Derg, high-performing school districts. Yeah, among them you have Avon, you have Glastonbury, you have Greenwich, Madison, West Hartford, a number of them. Newtown is the only district, for obvious reasons, that was exempt from the 2013 CMT. I'd like to give an executive summary of what I'm going to be reporting to you, some of the hypotheses that we've gathered from the data. Now remember the 5 basic categories of performance. 1, this is probably our best CMT ever measured by the data that we have. Of the 13 areas tested across the grades, Woodbridge ranks number 1 in Derg B. Again, these are high-performing districts in 6 of the areas, and number 2 in 2 of the areas. The vast majority of students achieve in the goal and advanced performance range, and we have the data to show that. Our aim is to move more students to the advanced levels of achievement in all areas, and to move those below goal into that range as well. All students make noteworthy positive growth. Our students make noteworthy positive growth over time, and again, we have the data to show that, and that they are among the top achievers in the state. With that being said, we'll move on. We'll start digging deep. This graph needs a little explanation. Also, you may not be able to see it all, so I'll translate it for you. We're comparing the state and Woodbridge in 3 areas: mathematics, reading, writing, Woodbridge, in those 3 areas. When I say the state, that means 168, 69 school districts, many of them high achieving, many of them on different categories. This, we're looking now at our 3rd grade children last year who are now in the 4th grade. Remember the 5 performance categories. In the area of reading, you have 79% of children in Woodbridge in the 3rd grade, that's the beginning year, are at or above goal, 62 in the state. In reading, it's 67% compared to 57% in the state. And in writing, 79% compared to 60% in the state. And I'll have more to say about 3rd grade scores later. We move on to the 4th grade. Now watch as the children go through the grades. Watch how their performance is demonstrated. In the 4th grade, in mathematics, Woodbridge students are 88% compared to the state 65%. In reading, 90% compared to the state 63%. In writing, 91% compared to 63%. Now this is like looking down from the orchestra, from the balcony. It's a global view. Children who are now in our 6th grade, last year's 5th grade. In mathematics, they had 92% compared to 69% in the state. And in reading, 91% compared to 67%. Writing, 90% compared to 66%. And science, 91% compared to 63%. Grade 6, that's now our grade 7. This is our exiting class. Mathematics, 95% compared to 67%. 100% of the children in last year's 6th grade class was at the proficient and above level. 95% in reading compared to 73%. Nearly 100% were on the proficient and above level. The Connecticut Post a couple of years ago said that Woodbridge in these areas here, these figures were as close to perfection as possible. Writing, 87% compared to 65%. So we handed over a very strong cohort to our middle school. Let's dig deeper and look at it in a different way. let's look at the numbers by performance level. Let's be transparent, put it all there. Excuse me for flaunting a little bit, but number 1 in the DERG in 6th grade, number 2 in the DERG in 5th grade.
Where are we on third and fourth?
I'm sorry?
Where do we rank in third and fourth?
We'll get to that.
It's half empty.
We'll get to that, we'll get to all of them. But those are things we didn't see in past years, as far as ranking in number 1, number 2. Okay, so we're looking at math. 11 children below basic, or basic in the entire school, in those areas. 11 too many. We know who they are, we know what has to be done, we know how to help them. There are children at all different levels of the continuum, and our job is to service every one of them. 40% at grade level, 379 at goal and advanced. If you look at 6th grade, the exiting grade, there are nearly twice as many at the advanced level than there are at the goal level. And on every grade level, the number at goal and advanced is quite substantial. In total, 89%, if you put all the children together of our school, are at or above goal in math. Let's take a deeper look at reading. Where there's cause to celebrate, I think we should accentuate that. So number 1 in the DERG in 4th grade in reading, number 1 in 5th grade. And number 2, I'd like to take poetic license and say number 1 because we were off by 0.5% with the number 1 winner, my hometown Trumbull. So if you take a closer look, 23 children were below basic and basic. The important thing is we're meeting the challenge of the board. The board asked us to identify, and this is the right thing to do it educationally. All of our children are important to us, and they're all on a continuum. And there are circumstances involved with every child. 23 is too much. We know who these children are. Some of them have been with us from kindergarten. Many of them have come later on in different grade levels. 39% are proficient.
39 children.
39 children, excuse me. Thank you. And 363 children at goal and advanced. In total, 86% of our children at our goal in reading, if you want to look holistically at the school. A deeper look at writing. Twenty-seven children need support in the school from 3 to 6. And again, I would say circumstances differ for every child. Our support system is very important. What's called an SRBI model is very, very important. It's mandated by the state. That's the right thing to do educationally. There's 33 children and proficient. And here's our goal level and advanced. 86% of children from 3rd grade to 6th are at or above goal in writing. Let's take a deeper look at science. 98 students were tested in the 5th grade. Now here's something to celebrate, and I don't mind saying this. We were first in the DERG, never happened before. We were 5th in the state out of 168, 69 districts. So I think the school board, past, present, citizens of Woodbridge have to be commended for supporting our science laboratory, an outstanding science coordinator, and our teachers, and our administrators have worked very hard on this year. If you remember, last year was a year like no other, with the school closings, blizzards, hurricanes, etc. So the big surprise is that we did so well. 1 student, 8 students on proficient, 89 at goal and above. 91% out of above goal in science. Let's dig deeper. Let's use what we showed you last year, vertical scores. And we'll look at the same cohort of students over time. Vertical scales is a tool that's been developed by the Connecticut State Department of Education. The department didn't invent vertical scales. There's decades of research done by the national government in this area. The scales are meant to measure change or growth across grades, track the same students as they move from one grade to the next. Developed in content areas of reading and mathematics. There's a lot of science that goes into developing these scales. So applied to individuals and also groups of students. And they provide a clear picture of CMT assessment as far as over time. What are vertical scales? Just a quick orientation. There are stages of learning in math and reading that are defined. Stage, the names are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Each stage has specific criteria for math and reading skills. Students move from one stage to the next. The stages are not assigned to particular grades. They're developmental stages. Over many years they progress. Children are expected to progress through the 5 stages. Stage 5 is where students demonstrate extensive knowledge of all assessed math content and have exceptional ability to read and respond to information and literary text without assistance. The ideal situation is that students will have progressed to stage 5 by the 8th grade. Let's take a look to give you an idea of cohort growth. And this is the average of the cohort. The blue line represents last year's 6th grade in math in Woodbridge, and the green line the state. Our students in 3rd grade started here, stage 2. They moved to grade 4 to stage 3. Grade 5, stage 4. Grade 6, stage 5. Now remember, the ideal is to have students at stage 5 by the end of 8th grade. So our students have, as an average, a good start. Some are further beyond that. In reading in 6th grade, start with 3rd grade, 4th to 5th, we're getting there, stage 5, and our 6th graders, there is where the average goes. Okay, in mathematics in 5th grade, now we're measuring 3 years here. There's your 3rd grade, your 4th grade, and your 5th grade. Again, this is meant to show general movement as a cohort. You can see the state is starting to peter a little bit, and hopefully our 5th grade is heading towards the sky. Reading, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade. 4th grade math, now this measures 2 years. Here's where they were in 3rd grade. 4th grade, they're a little above the middle of stage 3. In reading, you can see the direction of the trajectory. Now, how does the data show growth over time for individual students? We're talking about the whole school. We're talking about cohorts. What about individual students? We have to know, if we talk about children having learning pathways, then we have to be able to identify what their pathways are, and again, through differentiation, help each child. Okay, in grade 3, now this was a semi-random pick here to just illustrate how this works. By the way, every family received their child or children's individual report this past week. Why did it go out? They should have. Have you all received it?
They went in the mail.
Oh, I'm
They
sorry.
went in the mail. They went in the mail today.
They went in the mail today.
Yes, they did.
You'll be getting it tomorrow or the next day.
Yep.
And why are they going out so late this year? Because we
We
received
just
them
got 'em.
late. So it's, my thanks to the office for working overtime on that. Okay, so this student in grade 3, this student tested in stage 1 in math and made steady dramatic progress through grade 6. But every child has a story, and every child's story is different, and we have to look at children differently too. So in reading, the same child, the progress is excellent, starting in stage 2 and finishing in stage 5. So we look with these reports for continuous growth over time. Now here's an actual student tested in grade 6. Here's what we know about this student. Now again, this report will be different for every single student. And every student is unique. This student is at the advanced level in math and reading, and at goal in writing. In the math area, this student falls slightly below the school average, but still is at the advanced level. That demonstrates that the number of children at the advanced level is very high at the school. What areas does this student need to bolster? Now here's where this is a good basis for differentiation. There are 25 strands in mathematics. This child needs help, now I'll have to move a little closer with this one. In strands 8 and 21. 8 is computation with integers and with fractions, and 21 is with probability. So those are two areas that child needs differentiated help in. Content strands that were passed, maybe a good mark, maybe not so good, but not perfect. The teacher knows exactly what they are. There are about 5 or 6 of them there, and knows where to concentrate on and how to form flexible groups. What does the student really understand very well? Here are the areas right there. So again, it gives a good blueprint to start working with the child. Not the only one, but an important one. We know who this student is, what is needed, and how to teach this child. The data helps us to move students along their individual learning pathways. Let's dig deeper through what we call matched students, growth and change over time. Now this is complex, so please follow me on this here. Do students change their performance level, bands over time? Yes, they do. They can move forward, they can move backwards. Now let me give you an example. A child on goal in grade 3, it's not a given that that child's going to be on goal in grade 4. Goal on grade 4 is a more rigorous type of assessment. So they'll have to work hard to reach that level of assessment. The bar is raised with each of the levels of the indicators. Now we'll work with the students that started in grade 3 and went all the way to grade 6. As I told you, not every student starts at Beecher Road School in grade 3, and not everyone starts in grade kindergarten. There are a lot of students that come in during every grade level. But let's take a look at the cohort that started in grade 3. Of the 104 tested, 89 were with us in grade 3. What changes did we see over time? 51 of the 89 matched students remained in the same performance band as when they were in grade 3. Does that mean that they didn't improve? No. It could mean that they worked to achieve a harder curriculum assessment in that particular band. I'm using goal and advance as the example. So that leaves, what about the 38 others? The 38 others, one student moved from basic to proficient. One student moved from goal to proficient, so that was a step back. You have to take a look at that. 8 students moved from proficient to goal. 7 students moved from advanced to goal. Now when you look at that, you look too, when they were advanced, was it the low level of advance? Did they move from the low level to the high level of goal, or were there any other scenarios involved? So again, it's a question of using data to look at the child. 2 students moved from proficient to advanced. 19 students moved from gold to advance. Of the 89 matched tested, 30 advanced, 51 maintained performance, 9 dropped. And the point we're making with this here is that we're trying very hard to use data for the benefit of children. Data is not an end in itself. It helps to tell a story. And we want to tell a story about every child. One child is not better than another because they achieved in this score, performance indicator or another. Every child has a pathway, and we're striving to move more and more in the direction of helping that child along their pathways. Okay. How about the students in grade 3 that went through grade 6 in reading? 85 matched students, 33 advanced levels, 45 maintained performance levels. And again, remember that the bands have a new rigor in the grade that follows. 7 decreased, and we always have to take a look at that. Writing, 94 matched students, 34 advanced, 47 maintained performance, 10 decreased. Data has meaning when there are linkages and when it tells a story. With the CMT data, we have the learning teams, we have the data teams that can look in depth at individuals, small groups, large groups, and whole district achievement. The idea is to turn the data into action. An overall statement we could say is that Woodbridge students perform exceptionally well as a whole, but that we have needs on every level as well. And that our aim has to be to help the children at the lowest levels advance, as well as children on the highest levels, many of whom can ace the CMT. And the question is, how do you bring them to even higher levels that are not measured by the CMT? We know our children's names. We know what they need. We know circumstances, and there are many different kinds of circumstances and stories. And with collective wisdom, we know where to move, how to move them ahead in their learning pathways. And we accept accountability for doing that. I can't help using this again. You get my good friend, Albert Einstein. And as I said last year, we don't agree on everything. We don't agree on hairstyles, for example. But we do agree that not everything that counts can be counted, and not everything that can be counted counts. Thank you for your questions, and not only I, but my administrative team is ready for questions that you may have. And if we don't know the answer, we'll come back with you.
And I just wanted to say, I know that in every presentation you talk about, what was done well and what we need to work on, and you tend to focus on what we need to work on. But this is amazing, and everybody deserves credit. The students deserve credit, but the staff and the administration deserve a lot of credit, so congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And if I could ask myself a question,
Are you going to answer it as well?
I'm going to try to answer it. But we look at the data, and Carl always mentions every year, what surprises do you see? Is there anything that surprised you with it? I'll answer that from several points of view. We were surprised by the very high performance in many areas because we were concerned last year about the disconnect in schooling that happened, particularly with our calendar. We were pleasantly surprised in many areas. We know our teachers worked hard, our administrators worked hard, and the children worked hard. And we try to do it in a meaningful way. People have different opinions, but we try to do it in a way that didn't throw out other things that were important as we prepared for this year. The arts, and physical, emotional, all those things too. We looked at it. We want to be transparent with everything because it's important for us as educators. If we really want to help children, we have to look at data and not make quick judgments on it, but look at all kinds of factors that are involved. And we do that better if we look at it over time. Our third grade surprised us, particularly in the area of reading, because they seemed to underperform as far as our expectations were. Now, again, I'm not making any excuses by any means because we look at everything carefully. For one thing, third grade we look at as the first year of taking the CMT. You know, a lot of districts, even though people think we spend a lot of time on CMT, compared to other districts, they're CMT mills. So third grade, we don't look upon it as a CMT mill. We're not as concerned as we are as the children moving up towards the sixth grade. Secondly, there was the state commissioner who mentioned to us at our convocation, said the CMT scores have gone down, in some cases dramatically in the state, but third grade, he said, one thing to be careful about is the variable. Some districts have decided to go into the core curriculum ahead of time or at a faster rate. That could possibly have an effect on your CMT third grade. Take a look at it. That was the commissioner speaking. So we're taking a look at that. We're also taking a look at the fact that we just this past year became a K-6 school, pre-K to 6 school. We're looking for any cohesiveness, any breaks in children going from primary on and so on. And then we're taking the general numbers. If you look at the general number, it doesn't tell enough. We have to dig deep. Who are the children? Who were involved? Who just came to us? Who has been with us and is overperforming, underperforming, and so on, and working with that data. So we celebrate the successes of all of our children. At the same time, we look for areas to work and improve in. So that's the answer to my question on that one.
Good job. Did anybody have any questions for Dr. Speller?
I don't
No?
know.
No,
Oh, you did?
Of course you do.
I didn't see it. You looked like you were closing your book.
no. Well, he
Okay.
preempted my question,
Ah,
sort of. But, so first, I think this is great. I thought your presentation was great. I was very happy with everything. So that's my preface. So when I ask questions, it's not the only thing.
And I'll just extend that and thank you for prompting us to move in a direction of digging deeper and deeper and deeper.
Sure. You're welcome. So I do, I know, we try to think of reasons for third grade, but it does, every district in our DIRG, like we outperform so many other districts, and, I'm not, I have offices in Guilford, so I know a lot of the Guilford and Madison, and they don't focus on CMTs in third grade classes, but, I'm just curious, it seems every year we have a reason. It just seems that universally for the last 5 years that I've been on the board,
Yeah.
third grade just is totally, do we do something different with the curriculum? It just seems that every year third grade is an issue. It's not just this year, it's not just because this was a weird year, it's not because, but every year it seems to be an area that we have an issue with.
Steve, you're absolutely right. And again, we're looking at it, and every year we say we're looking at it from that point of view. Now again, you mentioned Guilford, you mentioned a number of others. Our district, remember, is a small elementary one. So maybe on a third grade class, you could have less than 100 children, depending on how many classes. You could have 1 year with 4 classes on there. You could have 80 children. So with that kind of context, again, you have to look at, you have to really dig at the individuals. You could have 4 or 5 children that make a big difference in any direction. In a larger district, there's more leeway for that kind of situation. So that could be a possibility too.
But that would be across all grades, and we don't see it across all grades. Go ahead.
That could happen across all grades, that's correct, yes. So that's why you have to look at every grade too and see, that's correct. But that's why we're looking at children that have been with us over time too, and trying to look for growth over time. We have to look at our third grade. And again, third grade in educational environments, there's been this great debate. Do they belong to the primary? Do they belong to the intermediate? That's kind of a bridge kind of class. So what are the connections with our kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and our second grade going into third grade? Those are things that we're taking a good look at. When I say we were surprised, because we see the daily work that our children do, and we deserve higher scores, so we'll put it that way, from that point of view.
And then last year I thought, so on the match student thing from 3 to, I felt like when you presented that, it wasn't the third graders to the sixth graders. Is that what we did last year?
Yeah. It's the exact same thing.
I thought we did it from year to year.
The same template.
Okay, all right, I must just.
We invented the template, we're gonna get it copyrighted. But, we're
Right,
using
and then
it here.
my final question, which is not anything, is, it seems that the state, there's a drop-off in performance improvement on the vertical scales between 5th and 6th grade, whereas our kids seem to, you know, there's a big, is it,
The gap
Is that
is a
any-
lot wider from the 5th and 7th.
Yeah.
well, but even the curve, like our curve stays pretty straight, but the state, every single graph from 5 to 6, the angle went down. Is it because many schools move 6th into the middle school and we have more continuous?
I think, this is my opinion, the curriculum gets more dense as you go up in the grades. I think we do a very good job here of working with our children and giving them the foundation that they need. Like many teachers at the school, if you spoke to them and you asked them about 3rd grade, they would say, Dr. Stella, don't worry about it, because our children, you know, the way we approach it is that they're building blocks. And we build on those blocks, and by 6th grade, they will be leaving as, you know, as top performers or far from where they were in 3rd grade. So the curriculum gets denser. One reason we have, here's another example. I said this many times before, if we were thinking strictly of CMTs, I probably would say don't have Writer's Workshop. Writer's Workshop prepares children for their middle school and for their high school, because it helps them look at all the genres of writing and so on. But it helps them also with the multiple literacies. Again, when the curriculum gets denser, they're in the better position to handle those multiple literacies that they meet. So you raise good questions, and as a true educational learning organization, we raise those questions among ourselves and we ponder them. With 3rd grade is something to look at, but at the same time, I feel there are many good indicators too, that, you know, that we have a lot of hope there. And if there was a problem going up with our 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, then I would say we really have a problem. With our 3rd grade, there may be some very strong variables that tie into a small district, and maybe to our approach in education and getting a common world view of all of our teachers.
Does Amity look, so that vertical scale where you showed 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th moving through the steps,
Yeah.
does Amity in 7th grade, when they look at the 7th grade, do they have, like, do you think our curve switches a little when we switch schools? Like, is that, you know, like, do we see that from 6 to 7 we get less?
Well, what happens
improvement?
with Amity, as soon as a child goes from, whether it's Beecher Road School or from Bethany Orange, they become Amity children. They will not talk about Beecher Road children or give feedback on that. They become Amity children.
No,
So-
but do they have, that vertical scale is from the state, right? So
Yeah, that's when
so
they
when
should have
see,
that,
when
yeah.
they have their 7th grade, they can look back to those kids in 3rd grade.
Yes.
I'm not saying that,
Yes.
it's not about Bethany or.
Yeah, if I was a
Woodbridge.
7th grade teacher, I'd go on my password on the state website, look at a child, click on. We know so much about children today, and find out how their growth has been from the 3rd grade up. In fact, you know, just like a good doctor, Steve, you know this here, uses all the information, right, to analyze what they can do to help the patient. CMT is one thing, not everything, but it could be an important tool with many, many others. And then you could have too, and I always want to set this at the stage for this here, children are important as human beings. If you have a child, now this doesn't affect our whole school, but if you have a child who's in crisis with something, if you have a social emotional issue or something like that, then we have to work with that child along those indicators too. So it's the indicators from both areas that we have to work with.
Anybody else have any questions for Dr. Stella?
Is
Sure, I'll
there,
go one more. Can I have one more?
you're good.
So in all areas
Yeah.
on the matched thing, it was about 10% of the population went backwards or down. It was about 10% in reading, writing. So those 10%, when you look
I
at,
don't know if it was, I don't remember the figures.
it
We
was
gave
like
it
9%,
exactly.
11%, 10%.
Yeah, we gave it exactly.
Reading, writing,
Yeah, okay.
So,
Yeah.
I'm rounding, sorry, 10%. But my question is, do these kids move in and out of things for, like, so this was 3rd to 6th grade, but do you notice when you're looking at it 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, like when, is there like a specific time when you notice they drop, and are they dropping early
I'll
on and then they
let
just
somebody
stay
from our
there?
staff and from our administrative team, Nancy or
Just
Gina.
depends on each individual child. It really does. Sometimes you'll look at scores and you're surprised to see somebody drop, knowing the child.
It really is individual. It's not a group per se. It's each individual child and where they are in their lives and in their learning. And sometimes, if they were just at goal and they fell back 1 point, all of a sudden they're in a whole new band. And conversely, if they were 1 point up, they go into a new band. So you really look at those kids who are on the cusp. And it really is absolutely individual. As Dr. Stella said, in this school, you know every single child. You know what every number points to, and it's really who the child is and what they need.
I've heard more than one teacher tell me, I can't believe he did that. He didn't finish the test. I can't believe she did this year. She does so well in so many ways. She was looking at the ceiling, who knows what. So every child is a human being. So, and again, we're a small school. The good thing is that we're able and we're moving more and more in the direction of looking at individual children. Do we want to do better with every child? Sure we do. Do we want to improve in how we instruct every child? Yes. Can any school, ours included, say that we can improve in any area? Certainly not. We're constantly looking for ways of improving, and we want to reach every child. And the more we get towards looking at pathways of children, trying to figure out, even not only as individuals, but as teams, everybody taking responsibility, then the better we'll be. We could show large numbers of children being very, very successful. There are some children we're scratching our head and saying, what more can we do, and so on. And so we do want to improve, that's for sure. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you have some sense yet for how you're going to be able to generate the same kind of very useful data over time with this disconnect between the CMTs and
It's a big challenge for us. We're pondering that. I can't give you a ready answer on that. It's a whole new way, because we've had pilots on the SBAC where we're not completely sure of all aspects of it. But the general idea, it's like seeing a vision through a forest there. It's kind of cloudy. You see some sunlight down the end, but you don't know what the valley looks like. It's supposed to be tailored, again, for individual pathways of children, and we'll figure out something as we go along, and I'm sure the state will try to help us too with that.
And Dr. Stone?
Yes.
And we haven't even been notified what that reporting system will look like back to us.
Yeah.
So we're not sure exactly
We're
what
not sure.
we'll see. So we're not sure we can.
But be certain of this here, that's our business, and assessment is part of curriculum and part of instruction. Without assessment, you can't have good curriculum and you can't have good teaching and learning. It's how you do the assessment, but more important is what you do with the assessment to benefit the child. If it's assessing for assessment purposes, then there's a certain value, not much, except reporting out. If it's assessment to take and say, how do we benefit a child? How do we benefit a cohort? How do we benefit a school? Then it makes sense.
We have one more question.
So does the percentage of students that that stayed in the same level include students who stayed in the advanced category?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think it would be interesting to see if you separated out the
Yeah.
kids that stayed in the same level that wasn't advanced, that number that suggests they're staying in the same category instead of progressing is probably smaller.
We're going to dig deeper. And what we're encouraging our teachers to do, our teams to do, our administrators to do, is to really dig deep, especially, you know what, especially if there's a child that's a challenge. If we think we're not being successful with a child, that means we have to change our strategies. We have to try something else. We can't say the child just didn't get it. We have to do something different. And sometimes you have tough cases that you have to look carefully and harder at. And then a problem that every good school district has too is that how do you help the child that's the neediest academically, and you can never forget those children, and then how do you help the child who is advanced and aces everything, so everything seems fine, but they could do a lot better. And sometimes the answer lies with us as teachers and administrators. Sometimes most often it's a combination of how can we team up as teachers and parents and community in helping the child in every way possible. So, anybody want to say anything from the team? You work so hard with data, I know. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Okay, we are on the primary mental health grant. So, Sheila, you're up.
Move that we approve the 2013 primary health grant as presented for submission to the Connecticut State Department of Education.
Second.
You're up. Discussion.
I did just receive information because of the governor's work in the deficit reduction. The budget that we submitted for the grant will be awarded at 15% less. So we'll have a little less to work with, some budget revisions, but I just got that email today, so I haven't worked on that yet. But what we have here is the grant we've had for, 17 years now? And we really have expanded, I think I told you this last year, the work that we're doing with our psychology and counseling departments, really working. They meet as a professional learning community now. They look at the student information, and Project SAFE has expanded right up through the upper grades with different activities, but again, this is a prevention activity, looking for students at risk and working on resilience for students. So we find it a very valuable addition to our work in the social emotional development of our children.
With the budget reductions, do you anticipate any needs that you will have to look for supplemental or budget raising, fundraising issues or anything?
No, what we do is adjust, we have the position of the child assistant that assists us in the upper grades. So it's taking a little bit longer for the grant to be awarded, so that will take a little bit of time from her schedule. So that's pretty much how we adjust it. So we don't look to enhance the grant with other funds. We work with what we have.
Any questions? Okay, all those in favor? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Facilities Committee. Karen.
We had our first meeting on Tuesday, September 3rd. The fire marshal was in attendance, and we were updated with respect to his inspection and report, which I think let Dr. Stella tell you more about if he wants, but we had one item only, which has been completed. We also got an update about the boilers from Dr. Stella, which the town has been briefed on as well. And we discussed prioritizing grounds projects and identifying any projects that should be proposed as being included in the upgrade that we anticipate needing in the next few years, and you'll be hearing more about that. And we also talked a little bit about the sustainability initiatives that were going on last year and how we can continue what was started and expand on that.
Anybody have any questions for Karen?
When is that committee scheduled to meet now?
Fourth Thursday, 7:30 a.m. I
Fourth or
believe.
first?
I'll double check on that. That was the fourth, but I'll double check and let you know.
Okay. And 7:30 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the VRS Building Committee. Tomorrow night is a presentation to the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance of the current status of the project. We had a presentation of the project, many of the new members, none of the new members were at the presentation, in December of 2012. This is just a reiteration of the same material that was provided at that time. I think all of the new members have some familiarity with the building project through the campaign and through other means. But this is a summary of scope of work from ESG. This will be modified only in the security edition at tomorrow night's meeting. And then there's just some summary information here. So what I wanted to make sure is that, especially the new members, because the existing members heard the full presentation, and this, again, tomorrow night is a re-presentation with some updates of what was done before. Is there anything that would help the new members before tomorrow night? I mean, this is some information If you look back at the December 17th meeting, I think it was, there's some additional materials. There was a presentation by AKF, there was, I can't remember, there was some other additional documentation. But this was an attempt to just refamiliarize everybody with the presentation we had last time in anticipation of tomorrow night, which will be a longer presentation and go into details, but these are some summary documents. So is there any questions or any access or any information that people feel like they need? Okay. So the board last year approved the scope recommendation by the building committee. We don't need to re-vote on that. That is moving forward to the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance tomorrow night, along with the additions that were added based on the request from the Board of Selectmen. Okay. All right. Okay. That's it for that. Policy.
Policy, the next meeting of the policy committee is Thursday. The time is being changed for this next meeting only to 5:30, from 5:30 to 6:30, and continuing with the 5,000 series.
And the regularly scheduled, because this is an off date as well, in
Right,
September.
because of the holiday.
Right. So what is
March,
it
what
again?
date did I say that we were doing?
First Thursday of the month.
First, so when, after the 19th, when's the next meeting?
October.
October 4th, possibly.
I'll go with that. October 4th possibly would be the regularly scheduled policy committee.
It's actually October 3rd.
Third, I was thinking
Thursday.
third. I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
seemed
You were-
right.
you were
October
right.
3rd sounds much more likely.
Okay, so October 3rd at 6 to 7 is the
Correct.
scheduling. Okay, and Finance Committee, Steve.
So we met on the 9th, reviewed the reports, we went over a little bit of a 5-year forecast, discussed the timeline for the capital operating budget requests, and the only other major topic of discussion was the boiler. You want to give a quick update, Dr. Stowe, on the boiler?
Just an executive summary. We're concerned about the boilers. We have been for a number of years, but in the general cleaning that's done every year, one of the boilers had a crack. We won't get any use out of it this winter. Doesn't pay to buy that particular boiler. So that would mean that the school would be running on one boiler. I don't trust the one boiler because anything could happen. And we brought this to the attention of the town, also building committee, every committee and so on. The town is working with us and trying to come up with a solution as far as getting at least another burner in before the winter time. And that burner would be a high-efficiency gas burner if we were to move in that direction. I'll keep the board appraised of everything that's happening, and we're continuing the conversation and follow-up on this here. But I think it's important to get another boiler in there.
That's it. Okay. Kate, Lisa.
I was looking forward to going to my first workshop this week, but they canceled it.
They canceled it.
Next month's topic is going to be freedom of information law, if anybody is really excited about that.
Always interesting.
And Dr. Stella and I will be going to the Cape Conference in November.
Nobody else
And
wants to join us?
I'm going as well.
Oh, good.
I'm
Excellent.
going as well. Yeah.
Good, it's always nice to have.
Okay. ACES, I know we didn't talk enough about this last time. I don't think anybody went. It was Thursday. It was last Thursday. Yeah, I'm sure most went. So we have the dates. We'll have to figure something out by email about getting people there. I can go to the next one, and then we'll have to figure it out from there. Okay. And then new business, certified staff resignations.
I move that we accept the resignations of Carmel Carrier and Jennifer Schnitzer with regret.
Second.
Okay, questions? All those in favor? Okay. All right, I always wonder what happens if we say no. Sam?
Move that we ratify the elementary teacher appointments for 2013-14 school year as follows. Elizabeth Greener to salary of $46,487.60, BA Step 3. Lisa Farnan at a salary of $59,682.91, MA Master's step 7, both effective September 3rd, 2013.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, great.
Do you want to mention anything with the hires?
About the new,
Kevin, just why? I don't
Yeah,
believe it
yeah,
at the
sure.
board meeting.
Sure, just to review something the board knows already, we have a lot of families are moving to Woodbridge. The numbers are increasing. So we welcome children, and we're a small district. You never know where the children are going to enter, whether it's 6th grade with the large enrollment, or the 3rd grade or the 4th grade. This year was the kindergarten class. And we have, at the same time as a record number of families moving in, we have a record number of twins. So that added to it. So our population, kindergarten population was up to 117. We had different scenarios that we were working with and planning with. One was to take our 5 existing classes and provide, there's a full-time TA in every classroom, and provide enrichment with additional personnel. But the numbers just started to increase, and they reached a limit where we had a good teacher, a highly qualified teacher. Otherwise, I, as a superintendent, wouldn't have opened a new class without the right kind of person. And the administrative team worked with me over time. We worked right over the Labor Day weekend, in fact, and custodial staff, everyone, to set up the new classroom. The kindergarten team did an outstanding job of helping support this move too. What we didn't want to happen was to form a new class after our kindergarten children got used to a teacher. To take them away from a teacher, it's like taking a cub away from a mother bear there. So we wanted to move very, very quickly on this here. And as Gina said, it was hand in glove. The classroom was set up. Every day we're adding new things to it too, just enhancing it. The teacher's wonderful. We have a teaching assistant who's been assigned, who has a certification in art, and is also very familiar with our kindergarten teachers, and has done a lot of work in drama too, so that's an addition to it. We'll add a lot of support not only to that classroom, but to the kindergarten team. And I thank the board for supporting this matter too.
Okay, so the donation acceptance, Dr. Stella? All right, I guess we'll
Move
make
that
a
we
motion.
accept the donation from Mr. Michael Ashwood of a Lautner grand piano to the BRS Music Department with sincere appreciation and gratitude.
Second.
Carl, you're slowing down.
That was great. I wanted to see if he was awake.
Okay, no more coffee for Matt. That's the rule. Okay, Dr. Stella?
I hope and recommend that the board approve this year, because literally we had a piano land in our lap.
That would be very painful.
As we were setting it up for our professional development in the South Assembly, it's a crowded area, we have hundreds of teachers. First thing that everyone said when they walked in is, what is this huge piano doing over here? How are we going to set up for the professional development days? Well, the good part was that you always have to look at the long-term picture, is that there's a wonderful family that was moving from Woodbridge, and they're very much aware of the type of music program we have here and admire it very much. Admire Mrs. DeLetch's work with the music program too, and donated a grand piano. And as I told everyone, we'll get through the PD day, but this will help us in the future, because it gives us the opportunity. We were talking last year about how can we get a grand piano, because there's so many talented children that we have. We could have piano recitals and things of that sort with the right kind of piano. So somebody heard us, and it came. And now, we had our fingers crossed, because Mr. Letch told me, he says, it has to be tuned up. I said, oh, that's okay, fine. And he said, tuning up could cost up to, I don't know how many thousands of dollars. So that's when my heart pounded. But he had someone come in, an expert in the field, and he said I was able to get it at $175. So that was, it wasn't in such bad shape.
Okay.
Yeah.
That needs to be done routinely, for sure.
Yes.
My second question would be, for insurance purposes, have we made known the receipt of this gift to our insurance carrier to determine how it should be handled, added as a right on a rider, or it sounds as if it's a gift of some significant value.
We haven't done that, but we will look into that at your suggestion.
Every 6 months for tuning.
He's just a buzzkill.
Okay, all in favor? Very good. That can't be it.
Excellent. Public comment.
Oh, public comment, I'm sorry. Is there public comment, Marcia? Sneaking behind you? No. Okay then.
Move adjournment.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, thank you, everybody, thank you.